Happy holidays, everybody. We in for a special episode of America F1. There's so much news going on. There's so much news. But the biggest news to me, because you all know, if you listen to the channel, you know that I am a big Yuki fan. Yuki. I love Yuki. And he didn't get the seat. So Yuki's sad. Yuki very sad. He's very sad. I like Yuki. They gave the seat to Liam Lawson, as you all know. And when you look at every metric there is, I think Yuki checks the boxes over Liam. I do. But for some reason, and we'll discuss it today, Christian Horner says that Liam Lawson can get his elbows out. He's racy. He's feisty. And that's what they want at Red Bull. He has more upside because he was only 2/10 down most of the time, sometimes 3/10 down to Yuki. So with only 6 races under his belt, he has more of an upside than the guy who's been there for 4 years, beating everybody you put in front of him. And Okay. So we're going to get into it here at...
Yeah, America F1. America F1. It's a golden run. America F1.
Okay. I get it. So... Yuki. All right, let's look at all the movement that has been going on. Let me look at this. Look at all the movement this year. Now, if you go back, if you're a Formula One fan, can you remember all this movement in 1 year? It's major movement. Almost every team next year is going to have a rookie. So Liam Lawson is in, and so today they announced Iheart, who will be teaming up with Yuki. They also have my guy Valtteri Bottas, the mullet, as I like to refer to him, is going to be the reserve driver for Mercedes-Benz F1, and that's great. Valtteri's great. He's a great teammate. Remember, when he was at Mercedes, never missed a Q3. Did you hear what I said? He never, and I do mean never, ever, did not make it to Q3. So I think it's a hedge in case Kimi, crashes a bunch of cars. They could always, port him over to another team, maybe Williams, and then they could bring in Valtteri if necessary. Who knows what's gonna happen, but I love Valtteri coming back. Before we get into this Liam Lawson thing, I think it's interesting to note that Max has had zero competition as his teammate. I mean, look at his teammates. He's destroyed them all. I mean, everybody that he's had as his teammate, and here they are. And it's the Grim Reaper, right? Because everybody that they put in front of Max, you had Carlos, and Carlos actually did really well against Max. Daniel Ricciardo actually beat him 2 out of 3 years. The 3 years he did well against Max, but they had to get rid of him because he's too much competition. And then Pierre Gasly, he wasn't ready back then. He wasn't ready. He's ready now, but he wasn't ready back then. And then we have Alex Albon. They rushed him. He wasn't ready back then. He's probably ready now. And then, of course, Checo for these last couple seasons. And, Checo did well. I don't understand why they gave him a new contract when he actually was down on Max so many points last year. Why would you give him a new contract? But, we all know why now. It's because of that sponsorship money. And he brought in so much sponsorship money that, you could look the other way. You're like, well, that's a lot of money. We're not going to turn that down. And he was kind of performing, not this year, not really last year, but, in years past, he would do just enough. so they can win the constructors title. I mean, they won the constructors title every year that he was there except this year. So, and then now Liam Lawson's coming in, and what, come join us, Liam. Look at that. They have all the drivers waiting for you. But when we talk about this competitions and appearing on the Formula for Success podcast, Jordan claimed that Verstappen applied pressure on Red Bull's management to retain Perez rather than move. It's a science, because Carlos Sainz has it in his contract that he could leave Williams if it was for one of the top teams. If it was for Mercedes, if it was for Red Bull, and he's leaving Ferrari, so but that's still in his contract that he could go to one of the top teams. And he said, "I'm embarrassed for Checo because I like the guy. He's smashing a person to be with. He's a smashing person to be with. But are you telling me he's angling and fighting for a place in the team for next year? I would say that it's not a chance, but I put some blame on the team, and I also put some blame on Max. I know that Max put pressure on Christian. He did not want Carlos Sainz in the car. He wanted Checo in the car because he knew he could beat him. And to be fair, Max has to think about that a little bit. Christian has to think about that a little bit," they said. "They will deny it, but it's just my belief that there was a situation where it's easier to keep Checo in the car rather than consider a position where it might be better for the team were they to get Carlos Sainz in the car." Also, there's also that rumor that Josh doesn't get along with Carlos Sainz Sr., and Carlos Sainz Sr.'s a strong personality because he's also a driver. As you know, he's won the Dakar. I think it was this year. Yeah, he won Dakar this year. So he's also a strong personality, and Josh is a strong personality. Christian, and then you got Helmut Marko. That's a lot of strong personalities, so they probably didn't want that. But there's something to be said that Max doesn't have really strong teammates against him. And I think, and that's just me, I think that's the reason why they didn't put my guy Yuki in the car, because he's really fast over one lap, and he would challenge Max on more than one occasion in qualifying. And they don't want that. Because we all know, hey, Liam is it's going to be ugly. It's going to be right. Even Drake says it. Signing multiple race winner Carlos Sainz? Nope. Signing a dude who raced multiple times? Hey, yeah, we'll do that. So that's over the internet. The feeling is just, here's another meme. They're just, you're kidding. Checo outright? Yep. And you do realize Liam has little experience. Yep. It'll be Yuki's 5th season, and he beat Liam in qualifying 6-0. Yes, we know. So it's only natural that you go with Yuki. Nope, we're going with Liam. And that is the feeling around everybody in the internet. If you go, and it's so bad that Red Bull is actually blocking people's comments. That's how bad it is. And, the second driver, what's the second driver supposed to do? Second driver, a lot of times, if you've been privileged enough, or if you've been in the paddock, and if you get a paddock pass, a lot of the talks that they have, the second driver usually does that. The main driver, he'll do it sometimes, but when he cancels, it's the second driver. And a lot of the sponsorship stuff, they'll do it together. But a lot of that sponsorship stuff, if the main driver, the number one guy is like, hey, I'm out, I don't feel good, or I got a party to go to, whatever, then the second driver has to take over. And they're trying to say that Yuki's communication, because he doesn't know English that well, because remember, he learned English from, Yuki's a howl. He learned English from the pit crew. The pit team taught him English. That's why he curses so much. That's why he has all these euphemisms, because that's where he learned his English, okay? So it's Liam, they're saying, is a better communicator, and he's better, has better temperament, blah, blah, blah. That's what Christian's saying. But also remember this. I'm going to show you. Remember, if he has such great temperament, then here he is flipping off Checo in a race. You guys remember that, right? Here he goes, and he's about to pass Checo, and what's that? That looks like the bird. That's right. He flipped Checo the bird, and he also had some outbursts on the radio against other drivers. So it's not temperament. Don't believe the hype. Some people are calling it racism. I'm not going to say that because they signed Hajar. He's of I think he's Algerian descent, and you had Checo. He's Hispanic. But in years past, you have to remember when Max was going up against Hamilton, especially in 2021, there was all those tropes and all those kind of racist overtones that Christian was saying. I mean, this is coming from Christian. Let's be honest. Red Bull is kind of, it's kind of a toxic work environment. Might be a good thing to say. Might be the nicest thing to say, but it's not it's not corporate. Let's put it that way. It's definitely not corporate. Okay. It seems like that they didn't want Yuki. They weren't going to put Yuki in the car. I know, as a Yuki fan, and I know all the Yuki fans out there are very disappointed, but it never was going to happen. And it's sad because Yuki looks good in Red Bull. Look at him. Look. He looks good in Red Bull colors. Come on, look at this. Look. Pay attention, people. Look at that. Look at that picture. Yuki looks good in Red Bull colors. But they won't let Yuki get the seat. They just won't have it. And that's fine. Okay. So now, what does Yuki say? If they choose Liam, it would be weird. That's what he said. Then he also said, I beat everybody they put in front of me. I deserve the promotion. And then there was this, remember this, they had the Yuki Tsunoda to Red Bull, and it was a hashtag, and it was going all around, and it was pretty popular. Heck, I liked it. I put it around so everybody could see it. And speaking of liking, maybe this is a good time to remember that you should like and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification so you can be notified when we have another episode up. And I know it's the Christmas time, and this is a good thing to, while you're shopping out there or when you're driving to go shop, turn us on Spotify and listen to a couple episodes. Not only this episode, but we have special episodes. So say you watch this whole season and you don't want to listen to anything about the season. Well, we have some special episodes on there. We have one on Nico Rosberg. We have one on other champions of Formula One, and we also have special episodes that have nothing to do with the 2024 season. So you can go back into our archive and just pop in a show that has nothing to do with the 2024 season. And we hope that you tell your friends about us and you take and be safe during this Christmas season, because remember, don't drive drunk. Don't go out to any Christmas parties. Call yourself, a Lyft or Uber, or have a friend, drive you home. Be safe during this holidays, because we at America F1, we care about you, and we want to make sure that you have a safe and happy holiday. Now, I just think that Checo leaving Red Bull, it's a good thing, right? I mean, Checo, he has a lot of money. He's a hero in Mexico, and he's such a hero in Mexico that people in Mexico are up in arms about this. I mean, matter of fact, there have been these things going around, and there you can see people are throwing away all their Red Bull equipment into trash cans. They're throwing away their hats, cars, jackets, sweatshirts. They're just putting them in trash cans. And pretty soon, I guess they're going to be burning them. And I get it. What I don't get is, why did Christian Horner come out and say that maybe Yuki should be going somewhere else? because he's a good driver. We don't have really, it doesn't seem like he's going to be on the Red Bull team. There's no place for him here, really. So maybe it's best for him to go somewhere else. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that's what he said. And if I'm Yuki, I mean, we all know, at least I think, that in 2026, Aston Martin, right, is going to have the Honda engine, because this is the last year for Red Bull to have the Honda engine, and then they're going to Ford engines. Ford badged engines is still going to be Red Bull powertrain, but maybe in 26, Yuki's going to go to Aston Martin. I'm pretty sure either Lance Stroll will be out, which is everyone's dream, right? Everyone dreams that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody is dreaming that he would go.
Yeah.
But that would be simply lovely, wouldn't it be, Max?
That was simply lovely.
I don't think it's going to happen that way. I think what will happen is Yuki will probably go there as a reserve driver for 26, because Alonso's going to stay there for one more year. You know that. He wants to see that Adrian Newey car into fruition. And then after 26, Alonso will retire, and then Yuki will be in the car in 27. Unless Honda sponsors another team for the powertrain, and then maybe Yuki will go there. Or maybe one of these rookies don't pan out, and then for 26, Yuki will go to that team and then go to Aston Martin in 27. But wherever he goes, we all know that Yuki deserves a seat in Formula One. He's proven it. He's proven it. He's proven it. And I don't want to hear anybody out there say that he has a bad temperament. I don't want to hear anybody out there say, "Oh, he's his feedback is bad," because it's not. Because remember, on the Red Bull test, which he was faster than Liam Lawson, which he was faster than Iheart, which he was faster than all these guys, all the engineers said he gave, and they were surprised. They said surprisingly good feedback. So all the cards really pointed to Yuki, but okay, I didn't give it to him. So we know Valtteri's back, and segueing on to Valtteri. Valtteri's back, and there's I love it. There's the mullet, and then there's a great ad for Guess Who's Back for Mercedes. They put out a great ad for Valtteri, and Valtteri deserves to be back, and I can't wait to see our guy Valtteri back on the. He's just going to be, he's a reserve driver. So that it doesn't mean you're going to see him racing cars unless, George Russell gets sick or Kimi Antonelli gets sick, then Valtteri will be in the car. But it's still good to have Valtteri back in the seat and on the team and not out of Formula One. Am I right? Yes, I'm right. I know. But what else is going on? We said goodbye to Carlos Sainz. He went and he had a test. He didn't have a test. He drove the Ferrari, and Ferrari gave him a new Ferrari as a goodbye present. And Carlos is a class act, man. I love Carlos is a class act. And if it wasn't for Lewis Hamilton going to Ferrari, Carlos Sainz will still be there, and he understands. And if you didn't see Carlos's response, go down to our shorts, and we have Carlos's response on what happened with him leaving Ferrari and how he came to grips with it. And it's 60 seconds, and it's great. Check that out. And here is Lewis changing from Mercedes to Ferrari. And we all know on January 1, all the Mercedes gear is going away, and all the Team LH fans will be sporting their Ferrari gear for the new year. And you're just waiting to see what merch that Lewis puts out for, his Ferrari, the number 44. Now, before we go away, we just a short Christmas special. The other news that we can talk about, and it just came out that Liam Lawson talked about. They had the driver's dinner at the end of the year, and Liam Lawson's on another podcast. Hey, Liam, all drivers are invited to come on our podcast. We're building, as I speak right now, they're building a podcast room downstairs in my house right now. There are workers down there right now. You can almost hear, if I put the microphone down to the floor, you could hear them sawing away or whatever the hell they're doing down there. They got the door closed because they're making so much damn noise. But they've been here all week. For the next new season, we'll have a brand new podcast room. It's going to be exciting. I'm excited. You should be excited too, because then we can have people come in, if they're in town, if they're in San Francisco, they can come by, they can do a podcast. It's going to be great. I love it. What I was about to say before I, just segued out of that and started talking about, my podcast room. Anyway, Liam Lawson was saying that at the dinner, the season-ending dinner, they were trying to play a prank on George Russell. So they had a seat next to Max, and everybody was already seated, but they kept one seat right next to Max for George. And so when George came in, Max, to his credit, went, "Hey George, we saved your seat. Come on, mate, sit right here." And so George Russell, all business, comes in, takes the seat, moves it to the other side of the table, all the way at the other end, so he could be next to Lewis and everybody that was hanging around Lewis. He didn't want any part of being next to Max. And some people are, saying, "Oh, poor sport." To me, good for you, George Russell, because we're not friends. We are competitors, and you don't be friendly with the competition. I like it, George Russell. That and a couple other things that happened at the end of the season made me like George Russell more, because I wasn't a big fan of George Russell. I'll admit it. But when he did that, and when he stood up for himself, and he talked about all the things that happened in the steward's room with Max, I like George Russell. I like a guy with a little edge, a guy's not going to take any crap. I like it. So hats off to George Russell. Hats off to you out there in America F1 land. I hope and wish you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Look for us in the new podcast room coming up next year. And after the new year, we're going to do some features on what we're going to do probably sometime maybe at the end of next week. We're going to review the Cine Show that's on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, go watch it. We'll do a review of it and tell us if we're on par with what you thought about the show. And if you don't have Netflix, we'll review it for you, and then maybe you can go to a friend's house and watch it. I haven't watched it yet because I've been so busy trying to get this podcast room done, but I'm going to watch it for you, and then next week we're going to talk about it. So hats off, hip hip, hooray, all that jazz, and have a Merry Christmas. And as always, keep on racing.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing